Do we have anything else that's
Anti-Bullying
super
Month.
Yeah, we really touch on this really fast.
Oh, right!
So
It is October, which is many things. National Coming Out Day. It is also the anniversary.
Wait.
Matthew
All
Shepard.
of October is a day?
Oh, yeah, the anniversary of
National
Matthew
Coming
Shepard's
Out
death.
Day is in October.
Okay.
And it's also in October is the anniversary of Matthew Shepard's death, and that's kind of why they've made October Anti-Bullying Month, because those two things correlate with bullying, because the LGBT youth do happen to be amongst the highest percentage of people bullied these days. So I thought, since it is National Anti-Bullying Month, we could each talk about times that we've been bullied in the past, or even if we've bullied somebody else, and talk about how, trying to accept people for their differences is a better route than bullying ever could be. So go.
You tried to duct tape one of the
well, okay. I don't really have a story about bullying per se, but I have it when it stopped for me.
Being bullied?
Being bullied.
Okay.
And someone that kind of stepped up.
Okay.
Right.
I was very bullied throughout elementary school and middle school. And in middle school especially,
I don't remember you getting bullied in elementary school.
it was a little bit there.
I mean, we weren't that close then.
Yeah.
But
in middle school, our login for the computer, like the computer labs, was the first letter of our first name and our 7 letters of our last name, which, when you do mine, very efficiently puts together Jarko. And that was turned into, by a good number of people, into a derogatory term that was used towards me. And Jarko.
with a J.
With a J. I'm John.
yes. No.
I'm thinking of what it would turn to.
term?
No, they were just like, they would use Jarko as like...
As
okay.
a derogatory
Yes.
term.
Like, okay.
Oh, don't be such a Jarko.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, it's Jarko," and it was like,
Yeah.
But so, and then one day in PE, we were doing ultimate frisbee. Now, for those of you who don't know, all three of you, I am very, very, very good with a frisbee. And
we should play ultimate frisbee sometime. I'm also really good at ultimate
excellent.
frisbee.
Oh, when my best friend Tyler comes back out,
We should play.
we're gonna put an ultimate frisbee game together.
Great.
Be warned,
Awesome.
Tyler might try to stick
In
his
fact,
finger
you're
in
so
places.
good, you can hit someone on the head pretty damn well.
Oh yeah, I've gotten hit in the head with a very fast flying frisbee. It was not fun.
So,
Anyways.
it was 8th grade, and we were playing this game, and like no one was throwing to me because I was one of the nerds. I wasn't very athletic, and the frisbee stops right, and I pick it up, and I'm just like, oh, here you go, and they're just like, everyone's like, holy shit, he can throw a frisbee really, really well because everyone else sucked, and they were just like, holy shit, he's our secret weapon. So we're playing. And and they like throw it back to me so I can, lob it downfield. And someone's like, hey, Jarko, I'm open. And one of the popular jock kids at the time was like, hey, shut the hell up. His name's Arco. And I was like, oh my god,
This is it.
this is...
No,
awesome.
then you missed the frisbee, and then they were all like, "No, fuck it, he's Jarko."
Do you remember who that kid was?
I don't.
Oh, that's a cute little story.
And I was just like, huh. And I
What
think
is
that's
love?
what started me when I went to
Baby,
high school, when I was just like, no, my name's Arco. It's not John, it's Arco.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember because I was also like definitely severely bullied in elementary school.
Okay, because I'm like, that was a really sheltered story.
Yeah.
Oh, and like it was.
Well, there was more, but
There was like it was to the point where like there was a my class like collectively hated me, and there was one time where I was there was this new kid in school, and he was such an asshole, and he was the worst out of them all, and the whole class was throwing rocks at me, and so I'm like bleeding or whatever, and then I'm like trying to get away from them, and the other kid runs me into a brick wall that I was trying to hide behind. And that's when I screamed, "I'm gonna fucking kill you!" And I ran him into the classroom, and he like cowered in his chair. And the teacher sent me to the principal's office, and that was fine. That was the end of that. That was the last time he ever talked to me.
Well,
that was a good story. But anyways,
kind of going on that story, I feel like that's one of the disappointing things that the anti-bullying, and it mostly comes from teachers, that you should tell an adult, what you should do is you should develop skills to be able to stand up for yourself.
Absolutely.
None of this, like, I need to tell an adult, because sometimes, depending on the issue, the adult doesn't care.
The adult doesn't
I'm sorry
care.
to
The
say
adult won't help.
But there's been plenty of times where I've been bullied, I've been put in a corner, and the adults didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I stood my ground and I either took a good beating and kept pulling myself up to where people respected me, or I laid the beat down where that person never came at me again. That those are the only real times that it really stopped for me. And unfortunately, I was one of the people that was on the early points of cyberbullying, and I had mentioned this in one of the previous episodes. I was being cyberbullied on MySpace, which, I know you two never really had a MySpace.
Oh, I had a MySpace.
Oh,
2005, I remember this.
2005, I had a MySpace.
But back before, high school kids were allowed on Facebook, I got some cyberbullying from there. But a lot of the reason why kids had gone to that route to bully me was because I had stood my ground when it came to face-to-face interactions. One of the earliest memories was this kid who, I have no idea why he picked on me that day. It just so happened to be that, one of my groups of friends was playing with a group that I didn't like, and then the other one was also doing that. Happened to be isolated at the moment. Came at me, started doing your mom jokes that were inappropriate, and I told him 4 times, either shut up or I'm going to kick you. Please shut up or I will kick you. Shut up or I will kick you.
And then for the 4th time.
And the 4th time, I kicked him in the head.
Nice.
And
Boot to the head.
The teacher saw this. The kid went down, got back up, and is like holding his head like, oh my god, you kicked me. Like, so surprised.
No way. No way.
I
You
get
kicked
dragged
me?
into the principal's office, and this
Don't
is
kick me,
6th
bro.
grade. This was pre, this was pre a lot of things. Columbine hadn't happened yet. Violence was one of those things.
Happened in 5th.
Did it?
Yeah.
I thought it was 6th grade that it
No,
happened.
it was 5th. I was in West Virginia, I remember.
Huh. Okay, well, it didn't make any bearing. Oh, well.
Oh yeah, you were at state.
Yeah.
In all defense, Mr. Connors loved me and my family.
That's
so there
fair.
might have been
That's
a little
fair.
bit of bias involved.
Yeah.
But so we get into the principal's office, and I tell the principal, and I said, I told him like 4 times, if he didn't stop, I was going to kick him. And the principal turns to him and says, is that true? He's like, well, yeah, but I didn't think he'd actually kick me. And he's like, well, okay. Both of you have learned your lessons. Don't make fun of Brennan again, and you won't get kicked. Go back to class. Like, problem solved.
That's awesome.
Solid.
And then middle school comes around. In middle school, my bullying wasn't really... I blame the fucking teacher on this one. First day of 7th grade, roll call's getting done, and I understand people mispronouncing Brennan. Because it's a lot like Brendan and Brandon, which are pretty common names. And a lot of people just toss a D in there, even though I'm usually the one that provides the D.
And it's a circle. We've worked our way
I was about to
back.
say, it's going there.
However, sheets is spelled just like paper, just like what you put on your bed. It's a perfectly easy English word to understand.
They call you
and
Brennan
read.
shits.
Brianna shits.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Not only does she
What?
call that out during roll call,
What?
she pauses a moment, waits for Brianna shits to say here,
Oh my god.
and then reads it again.
Oh.
Brianna shits. And I'm sitting there, and I raise my hand, and I say, I'm sure she does, but could that possibly read Brennan Sheets? And if Brianne, if you happen to be listening, Brianne Schultz was in the class, and she rose her hand, and she's like, it could be Brianne Schultz. And both of us were like, wow.
You're fucking retarded.
Yes. And thank
R
goodness.
word.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank goodness she wasn't an English teacher, because I would have had to have dropped out of school right then and there. But so, middle school, I was known as Brianna Shits. And then 9th
Would that
grade,
be Miss or
10th
Mrs.?
grade, I really didn't have a whole lot of bullying going on. By that point, a lot of people had seen me comfortable enough to deal with being called Brianna Shits for 2 years, that they were like, alright, this kid's kind of cool. And I had, like, different groups that I kind of veered off into, because I was like friends with skater kids, because I grew up on the skater street. Like literally all the kids in our grade that became skaters grew up on my street or the block behind. Andrew Gillespie, John Bentra, shout out to you guys. You're still my neighbors.
I love how we're shouting out to all these people and none of them are listening.
We can tag them in the post and maybe they'll listen.
Shout out to Brennan the Cumberbatch. Yeah.
But it wasn't until that I came out.
We'll tag him.
And it was weird when I came out because there were gay kids at Chatfield before me. There was already a GSA established. Like, I didn't have to go through the whole process of being the only gay kid. There were mentors and everything. And they were there my junior year. Senior year, they had all graduated. So then I was left alone. But it was weird because, like, a lot of kids targeted me more so. Not because I was gay per se. Like, that was their target of hatred. Like, that's what they focused on. Like, fag and queer. And, like, I had the word fag carved into my 2001 Chevy Impala called Vicky Lavonda LaRue. She was ruby red and just beautiful. And motherfuckers messed with my fucking car.
You sound like Dean.
What do you think? I bought an Impala. No, that was actually... that was right around Supernatural coming out. But, and then the queer got written on my locker. And actually, one of the times that I had confronted a bully, to finish up my story almost, was somebody had written queer into my locker in Sharpie. I was already late for school because I was commuting from downtown Denver to Littleton to go to school.
Right.
Yeah. Because I was living on my own at that point. And this dude comes up behind me and he says, "Hey, queer, I hope you get fucking AIDS and die." This was after seeing queer written on my locker. I grabbed him by the back of the head, slammed him repeatedly into my locker, or slammed my locker repeatedly into him.
Yeah, your
whose head
frame of
was
reference if you really want to
pointed
get
at the
Einstein about it.
moment. Did get called into the office. But, what had happened was he got knocked unconscious. I made sure he was still breathing. Went to class. Waited for somebody to come and collect me because I knew somebody would be along shortly.
Right.
I had used my own locker. I knew it would not be a difficult... They did not need Bruce Wayne to figure out this crime. So about a half hour later, the police campus cop comes to collect me. I get up, the teacher's like, "Where the fuck do you think you're going?" Didn't say it quite like that, but that was the tone.
Okay. that was the
tone
I read
I
between the
was
lines.
And I point at the cop and I'm like, "He's here for me." And the cop's like, "Yes, I'm here for him." We get there, we go to the office, the whole administration is sitting there. The kid and his parents are sitting there. And the kid's all bandaged up, and I see him, and I just immediately am like, "I'm sorry." Like, at this point, I've accepted the fact that I'm probably going to jail for assault. I'm at peace
Or
with
the
it.
Hunger Games, you know.
Right. Either one. I'm at peace with it. I have accepted it. I'm just
Like, you got what you deserved at this point.
Right. And I had no problem admitting it. It was like, I overreacted. I've been having a really shitty week. Earlier in that week, one of my friends had passed away as well. So it was just
That's just adding on top of
really
it.
bad timing
Right.
on his part. Like any other time, I probably would have made a joke and played it off. Just really bad timing. So the administration's like, "Well, we know that you were not living at your parents' at the time. Should we call them and have them come in?" I'm like, "No. No need to bother them. They're both working."
Right.
Like, "Okay, we would like to hear your story." I'm like, so I told my story. The mom of the kid stands up, reaches back, smacks the kid upside the head as hard as she can. Like, we're talking sassy black lady stuff. Like,
damn.
I was like, damn! And she turns to the administration. She's just like, "You so much as give this kid a detention, I'm going to bring all the news stations in here and talk about how you guys are all homophobic." Turns to the kid and goes, "You little shit, my brother is gay, and he's HIV positive." Grabs the little kid, pulls him out of the chair, and just drags him out of the office.
Fuck.
Dad just quietly follows behind like, "I'm not
Hi,
saying
honey."
shit. I'm not getting involved whatsoever." And I'm left there with the cop, and both of us are like... And the administration is like stuck in this awkward position now. And they're like, they look at me, look at each other. like, you will have to pay for damage to your locker. And I'm like, I will write you a check right now to tell me how much I am down.
Right.
So, like, moment that, I mean, sometimes there are those moments where you are redeemed. And then, one of my friends, Ken Lord, who has been an avid follower on our Facebook page, shout out to Ken Lord, because apparently tonight is the shout out night. He had posted on his Facebook about this teenager who stood up to these students who were bullying him for being gay, and how the DA is now prosecuting the student who got beat up for being gay.
Right.
So sometimes you get in those situations where everything plays in your favor, and then other times you end up in what is today's norm, where a lot of the times the victims or the people who have been bullied are the ones who have to suffer. They're the ones who end up committing suicide. They're the ones who end up trying to act out in extraneous ways. And really, to be honest, if it wasn't for select members of my familyhood and select friends, I probably would not have been alive to this point, especially through high school. The bullying, the constant abuse got so bad at one point that I blacked out a good 6 months of high school. That I was just so drugged up, so drunk, I barely remember it.
Yeah.
And bullying can get that hard. It can become, it weighs down on your soul or your conscience or whatever you want to call it. And it's hard, but you need to find people out there who have your back. And whether you find that strength within yourself or that strength through other people, the point is to find that strength, and find that strength to stand up to those who might oppose you. That's the end of my rant.
All right.
Tony's turn.
No, I think
no.
even
I
though
think-
that is, we're gonna end it on a-
Here's what I want to do, because I want to add that as a separate thing. I want to put that in like a separate video aside from the whole
the actual episode.
the
Yeah.
whole actual episode. I think that deserves its own episode there. Its own episode there. Its own episode.